Good afternoon and welcome everyone to today's Thursday Live. My name is Denise Armenio. I am certified emotion code, body code, genius biofeedback practitioner. And I am here today to help train you, give you a little training on the Genius Insight app, as well as a demo scan. So that is always fun to see and always good to work with, helping resolve anyone's issues that we can as best as possible. Also, we have Claire McIntyre here, and she is here to help assist on the chat. So if there is anything I can't get to, she will have be monitoring the chats to help you as well. So I just want to welcome some of the people that I see in here. There's Larry and Barbara, Cheryl, David, Jennifer, Judith, Pam, Tammy, Teresa, Dominique. Thank you all for showing up. Hopefully, if you can't catch it live, you will catch today's episode on the replay. And I did get a request to go over some of the reports and like the graphics on how to read them. So we will do that. I also just wanted to see, is there anyone who is here today, who has not been a volunteer? Would you like to volunteer? Oh, Larry, thank you. You were quick on that one. Thanks so much. Okay, hold on. Let me just open my chat. Oh, thank you. That just makes me so happy. Let me just add in your information, your personal info here, and then I will start sharing my screen. Your legal, I'm just going to put it in as your first name, Larry, not Lawrence.
It's correct as it is.
Sorry, my eyesight could be better on some of this stuff. We're almost done here. Okay, so I'm just going to bypass the first screen, and I'm going to hit continue with new analysis. And then we can hit, and now I can share my screen. So just hold on just a second. Okay, everybody can see my screen, right? We hope.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so on this, after you hit the begin analysis, this is the next page you will see. It's how you set up a user record. So Larry has never had a session with me before, so I don't have a information here. So I always like to put in the day's date. So it's 7/11/24, and then Larry, if you don't mind, what are some of the symptoms, and each symptom, if you could rate it from 0 to 10, 10 being severe, on how it feels today. So let's work with symptoms that you have that you're experiencing today.
Well, anxiety, about a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it.
No physical pain?
Not really. Not exhausted mostly.
You're exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay. And on a scale of 0 to 10?
So about a 5.
Okay. Any gut related issues, bloating, stomach upset of any
Yes,
kind?
I have some bloating and gas.
Okay. And how would you rate that?
You're probably a 6 to 7.
So let's put it at a 6.5.
Okay.
Okay. And then I wrote it in there. I spelled bloating wrong. And I'm just gonna click off anxiety in there, just so that you could see it. Um, would you say it's so bloating and gas? Here's bloating. Um, and and digestion, okay. I'm just gonna put digestive as well, since there's the gas in there as well. Okay, so we can move on from here. Does not affect the scan at all. This is just basically for your records as you come back each time, so you know what you worked on and you can see if there's any improvement, and you have one central place to look at all the information. So I can just hit begin here. Okay, here is where we leave our voice analysis. So Larry, I'm going to count you down. I'll say 3, 2, 1, begin. And then I just want you to repeat the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. You can kind of say it at that tempo. You don't have to go super fast or super slow. Just repeat it. Continue repeating them until this 15-second counter gets to 0. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, begin.
A-E-I-O-U. 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 A.
Perfect. You're great. All right. So here if you look at the bottom left, it says voice harmonics. You can press here, and I do suggest that you press here because it will play back the translated version of what you just recorded for your voice. So in other words, instead of hearing the vowels that you just repeated, you will hear the frequency. And this does have healing benefits to it, similar to homeopathics, like cancels out like. So I'm just going to play this for you. Okay, so now we can just hit next. Awesome. And I am just took a screenshot of your picture so we can add it. So just give me a second here. And we can hit continue. And now, since I've already taken and put into my photos a screenshot of you, I can now click on the avatar and hit existing photo. And there it is. And here you are. And I'm just going to crop this ever so slightly. You don't really have to do that so much, but whoops.
That's my front yard.
That's pretty nice front yard. I'll take it. All right, so now that we have the picture loaded, we can hit begin analysis. Okay, and I'll hit continue. And energetic affirmation. So this is where the genius gives you the opportunity to enter an affirmation that either you want to work on for this particular session, or maybe you just have an affirmation that you like to use in general. If you don't have one, I certainly have one that I can use for you today. Would you like me to use the one I use, or do you have something in mind?
You use your.
Okay. So all energies are transmuted into the frequency of pure love. And so it's Okay, and then you just hit okay. And every time I run frequencies in this session for you, that will be translated into a frequency and will be overlaid at the same time. I just am going to look over. There is a question here that I wanted. The question says, is it still effective to give a quick session of frequencies for a specific problem? Example, pain, cough, fever, inflammation, etc., without the prep libraries on a person who has already had a full scan. Tammy, I'm not sure I'm following. So you mean you've already given a scan to someone? When you say quick, do you mean quick balance? Are you there? Are you there? If you want to maybe give some more information in the chat, I can come back to that. I'm not really following. So someone has already had, so they've already had a full scan with you and they're still experiencing these things. So when you say quick, do you mean bypass like my step 1 and step 2? I would not. I would always, I mean, listen, you can always do intuitively what comes to you, but I would not, because those are really important things. You always want to nourish the cells and your auric field. If they're still feeling issues from the previous session, they may not be getting all of those and may still be needing those foundational items. And working with the general overview is potential underlying causes. So to me, that's almost more important than going in and specifically working on and finding pain or something like that. Those two can be really important. So that's my opinion. Certainly, if you're guided to do something different, by all means, the genius is there for you to work with it as you should, but that would be my opinion on it. Okay, so here we have the body, mind, biofield. Those are the 3 main categories that come programmed in, so to speak, into the genius on the basic level, or if you're doing the 14-day trial. And then the custom libraries would come if you've purchased libraries, a genius user shares them with you, or you've created your own. And now we can hit begin analysis. Okay, so quickly, I'm just going to go over what the numbers and the colors mean for anybody out there who is new and may not be sure, or just needs to hear it gone over again. So the Genius works on a numerical value system from 0 to 777. That number range is divided into 4 ranges. The lowest range goes from 0 to 200. And that is represented by the color blue. And items in this range are observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. So they've been happening for a longer period of time. It can also be referred to as stagnant energy or under energy. We've also observed that the items in this range are causing some form of a crisis on your body or energy field. So it is important that you do work with these. The next range goes from 201 to 450. That is represented by the color red. I will get back to more specifics on this range in a moment. Then we go from 451 to 600. That is represented by the color yellow. And the high range goes from 601 to 777. That is represented by the color red. And items in this range are observed to be acute energetic disturbances, meaning they are out of balance right now in the present time. They could also be referred to as heat or inflammation or over energy. And they've also been observed to be causing some kind of a stress on the body right now. So the low range is causing a crisis, and the high range is causing a stress. Now, I do want to emphasize that a high does not mean like too much, and a low number does not mean too little or deficiency. It's strictly, these numbers are telling you how much in or out of balance, and for how like if it's a long time or just currently out of balance. So if you run a quick balance, which you can see the red banner down at the bottom, the Genius will run all items that are red and blue. And all you have to do is set the timer and hit quick balance on the bottom. And that is a quick and easy way to balance something. It's kind of like a no-brainer. Just let the Genius do all the work. Now, getting back to the yellow and green. So I know everybody always asks the question, so what is imbalance? And because we are conditioned to think red is danger, yellow is kind of caution, green is good, it's not always the case in this situation. So I like to work with a tight range. So for me, everything between 400 and 600 is relatively in balance. And I say relatively because it's never going to be perfectly in balance. It's always going to be moving as new energies are coming in all the time. So for those that are beginners, just stick with your reds and your blues until you get comfortable working with the Genius. If after that you want to expand the range and get a little tighter to work with how I work with them between 400 and 600, then your yellows are going to be what's between your 400 and 600. You're going to have a small amount in the green, that 400 to 450 at the top of the range of green. That would be okay too. But based on the tight range that I use, usually the blues, greens, and reds are what I work with. There are times when I work with all the items, and you'll see that in just a minute. I will be working with all of them. The other little thing I want to point out here on the side are these little arrows that are on the side. This is just another way of viewing what's underneath the line here. And in all instances except for one, which is the aura, where you don't see the arrow, that is because there isn't like a deeper library panel underneath. So for example, if you look at the chakras, if you click on the line or click the arrow, you are going to see the list of all your chakras and what the score is basically on that. But on the aura, you don't see that. Now, the aura is important, and I am going to click on it now because this gives us our before session aura picture. So you can just hit begin analysis. Okay, so I like to hide the avatar so we can see what's behind here. Now this is I love the color green here in the center. That's your physical body. So we are ideally looking for bright, vibrant colors that are like neon colors. So that is definitely a color we like to see. The second layer, not so much. You can see that there's a dark or a black or a charcoal color overlay over that, which often there may be some negative energies surrounding you or some kind of interference. The other thing is that you know, we want to see these colors to be bright and clear and not like muddy and sort of dirty. So we will work on that. Now, there is another way to view the aura when you switch to old. And the most important thing that I try to stress when you're looking at this is that all four corners are filled with color. That is going to indicate that you are grounded and in your body, which you are, Larry. So that is great. Now, the colors are kind of sort of have that dirty look to it. So hopefully that we can clear them up. I am using a MacBook Air, which tends to have this bright kind of like white in the center. That is just a formatting thing. It doesn't change. So that does not mean anything in the center, if anybody was curious. But anyway, I'm not going to get into more detail about the aura because we could really go down a rabbit hole if we did. So I'm going to go back out. I also just want to, before I forget, there is a little drop down here on the top of the page, this black. And if you click on this, this will bring up some graphics, overview, body, biofield, and mind. So you can click on each one and it shows you a different way of viewing all the information that was on the system overview page. So I do like this little circle at the top. It does give you a sense of how many blues, how many reds, yellows, greens. So in totality of the items that are on the system overview page, you can see, you know, here it says that 25% would be in my really tight range. Okay. But if you were to expand that where you're only working with reds and blues, Larry, you're doing pretty good here. You only have 14.3% are blue. So that would be great. Only 14.3% have been out of balance at a chronic level. So that's really great. And then your reds are at 21%. So relatively speaking, that's pretty good. So congratulations. You can also look at it. It's broken down here in all of them. I kind of need a magnifying glass to read those, so I don't look at those so much, but you can see all the different groups down here and what they are. You can then go then break it down by just body. So when you're looking in the category of body, you do have more blues in here. So without looking, you know, really looking at all the different categories yet on the system overview page, it looks like most of your blues are probably in the body section. And then in biofield, oh, well, in biofield, okay, so this is telling us you have 57.1. So, well, this isn't exactly an exact measure because there are a lot more items in the body than there are in the biofield. So in the biofield, 51% are blue, which would be chronic, but interestingly, there are no reds. So there isn't anything that's stressed out in the biofield right now, but it is chronically out of balance. So that is something important that we would want to work with. And that is something that we do start working with right away. So that is good too.
Denise, sorry, I've just spotted something there. Could you go back and do a screenshot of that? I don't know if this is the...
A screenshot?
Yeah, please. So,
Am I missing something?
well, just that it's under biofield, but it's specifically marking the chakras. Is it?
No.
But the smaller writing at the bottom, the
Yeah, I can't. Hold on. You mean here?
Yeah,
Oh,
those are all chakras rather than
oh, you're
the
right.
individual.
Oh, good eye. Um, yeah, so
Sorry, I was just.
yeah, no, so thank you. Very good eye. So we'll look at that more closely when we get into the system overview. So the mind, then, um, on the bottom, it's kind of doing the same thing. It's only showing the,
So, you know, in the little blue bar on the left-hand side where it's got neurotransmitters emotional, what happens if you,
ah,
that's changing it? Okay.
oh, okay. That's good to know.
Cool.
Denise, this is Pam. Can I ask you a question if that's okay?
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So is this for the current uh, one that you're doing, right? But what
Mhm.
I've seen is that when I'm running this and I look at this, what I see actually on the screen is so different than what it shows in the graph. So there's many times I've seen that there's very little blues, and then the blues are much more in the graphic. So I wasn't sure if
I-
it was, if
I
it
think that might be because of what we're seeing now. I honestly don't use this graphic that often. But so basically what you're seeing here is we're just looking at the chakras. But if you wanted to look at the, let's say the nogies, there are more out of balance. If we were to go back and let's just see the overview, I don't think it's not the same on the overview.
right. And
This is the total groups. So these are all the like different categories. But then when you go into body, mind,
Mhm.
body, biofield, and mind, it's the specific. So let's say we just wanted to look at body systems, or let's look at digestion since that
Okay.
was one of the issues here.
Mhm.
Um, you know, there's a significant amount here that's out of balance if you look at that. So this is definitely something that we need to be working on, and it probably is a, a big reason of why he's experiencing the bloating and the gas is because um in my tight, uh, 400 to 600 is balanced. There isn't anything really in digestion that is balanced here for
So
um
that's why I find that there is a difference there, right?
difference. Meaning what? Do you mean difference like if I go into digestion now?
Yeah, will it show pretty much that these are the reds and the blues in the digestion
It's
are the
showing now
same,
there are no yellows in here. So to me,
right?
everything in digestion for is out of balance. So that's something that we definitely would want to work with. So when you go to the individual areas, it's you need to look, it's not picture, it's not, it would be nice if it showed you like overall how many, and maybe that's something that um Ryan can add, like the overall body in total, and then also have your individual areas. Because that was helpful. You could look at today's stress, and then see how much overall um it is.
Yeah,
Does
I
that make
think I'm more visual that way. It's easier for me to kind of immediately see what's going on there with the blues and the reds and the yellows. And also, is there a way to find out what was going on in the last couple sessions, or is it just for this session that we can uh, we can see the graphics?
you can go into, when you go under the user record, it has view past results.
Yeah, but not in the graphs, right?
I think you can. Uh,
Not on the graphs, no.
Not on the graphs, but in the reports.
Yeah, reports I can see, but I was just wondering if,
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to pull these up, and there's no way to like send these or do anything
okay.
with it. You would have to like screenshot it and
Yeah,
then
that's
your-
what I was thinking, that I'll have to do that. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. And sorry, there's one of the questions. Can you explain possibly why panels quickly rectify with high numbers and aura is good on a person who is very ill? To me, it seems like that would be the opposite in the beginning stages. Well, that's somewhat subjective. I would have to see an example of that, Tammy, at some other time, because if they're not really, if there's like blurriness or like a muddy look to them, even if the color is there, there could be a lot of nefarious energies in there, and those could be causing physical illness. So I'm not sure what you mean by the aura is good. So anyway, that's really hard for me to give an answer based on not seeing the aura. So, okay, back to Larry. So, and so those were looking at the graphic. So now step one, what do we do? Well, we want to make sure our aura is healthy and we're taking care of everything in the biofield, because if the aura is not healthy, we're going to be taking in all negative different energies. There'll be from different places, and that is not good. Just think of your biofield or your energy field as like a shield, like on, I'm losing the word for it, but like on the Enterprise, as a force field or a shield around it to protect it. The biofield or energy field around us is like our force field. It's our protection. So that's extremely important. And the other thing that's extremely important to us is that our cells are getting all the nutrients that it needs. So that is always my first step. So for those of you that are new and may not have the bioterrain bundle, the best way for you to work with the step one is to add everything from the biofield into the main whole tray, as well as going into the body and add the minerals, vitamins, and amino acids into the main whole tray. I am going to go into the custom libraries and grab the priming vessels library panel. It does have a few more items in there. I'd like Okay, so to get to the search, we just have to wait for this to finish. I have a ton of libraries, so don't be alarmed that it looks a lot of red libraries, because I have close to 3,000 panels. And just for anybody asking, we use the word panels and libraries, those terms interchangeably, so they mean the same thing. Okay, so here's bioterrain. So now we can usually just click on the line and drag and drop it. So all the items from this library panel, and I'll click quickly just so you can see. So these are all the line items. There are 187 line items. The title makes it 188. And the reason I drag all of them in and I'm not working with, let's say, just the reds or the blues, is because when you work with the main hold tray, like what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to go all the way over to the right of the main hold tray down at the bottom and hit the play button. It brings us to what is called the progressive insights. And this gives an added level of depth to the balance, because the Genius is using algorithms now that is comparing all the items in the main hold tray. It's looking at the relationship of all of them. So instead of just looking at when the genius initially analyzed and looked at, let's say, the pericardian meridian to Larry, it came up with a value. But now in the progressive insights, it's looking at all these items and seeing how they interact together in relationship to Larry. And that may sometimes be very different. So items that may have been yellow or even in the green may no longer be yellow or green and balanced, or even some items that were blue before could potentially turn yellow if they need support from some of these other frequencies that are in there. So because they're all so important, I don't want to overlook anything, and that is why they're all included. So now we can just hit begin analysis. Okay, and the first thing I like to do is I'll put the timer on 1 minute, and I like to work with all the items initially for 1 minute and to see what kind of percent rectification we get there. Okay, so the average percent rectification is 40. Now between 20 and 40 is considered good. So that is a good rectification. I do then like you also to look at the percentages, the 3 percentages that make up that average. So you can see here, harmony is 34%, alignment 43, and energy flow 45. So I like to look at the low and the high, and I like that I don't want that range to be greater than 20. And the reason for that is the larger that range gets, the more unstable that kind of average percent rectification becomes, meaning that if another frequency comes into your energy field, it can easily throw it out of balance again. So in this case, you're great. The range is 11. So that's terrific. So the next thing I would do from here is I move the timer down to 0 minutes, and I am going to just deselect the mediums. So now I'm just going to have the highs and the lows checked off. And I'm going to see if we can try to get the highs and the lows percent rectification up higher. Okay, so the average percent rectification is 39%, and it goes from 27 to 49. So I would now deselect the highs. Since we don't have a percent rectification over 40, I then try to make like chunk down. So we're working with fewer items to see if we can get that percent rectification up. So again, I'm going to leave it on 0 minutes so I can work with time less than 1 minute. So here we go. Okay, the average percent is 31, so we're still trying to, the range on here is within that 20, but it's still a good percentage, but it's not excellent. So again, I would deselect the lows, I would work with the highs. And just to answer Pam's question, she's asking what the logic is about doing just highs and lows. Pam, the way I work with the highs and the lows in this section is that the highs are like your reds and the lows are like your blues. And I'm looking at the mediums as kind of like those are the more balanced items. So I really want to try to, when in the beginning, the first thing I do is work with all of the items. So I have worked with those mediums, but I really want to focus on the ones that are causing the stress and the crisis on the body. Hope that makes sense.
Can I ask you,
Go ahead.
because I don't know why my voice is coming back, but I was told that these are priorities. It has nothing to do with the reds and the blues as we see on the main screen.
That's not wrong. There are different ways to work with them. So that is why I always say this is my intention when I work with it. The Genius, as it will tell you in the manual, or even some other practitioners may work with it as priority. I don't work with it that way. I know Dr. Kimberly McGeorge doesn't work with it that way. And there's a few other practitioners that work with it while having the intention that the highs are like your reds, which are your stressors, and your lows are the ones that are causing more crisis. So we are working with the quantum field and quantum entanglement. So your intention is what's important here, as long as you keep that strong intention. So
Okay.
that's a great question.
Okay.
And so your partner who told you that is not incorrect by saying that. You just have to be clear on what your intention is with what your outcome is that you're looking for.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's work with the highs now and see if we could get that up. Okay, great. Good job. So we got the highs above 40%. They're at 52%. And it's nice and tight and stable between 48 and 58. So that's awesome. So I'm not going to continue to get the lows up, but if this wasn't a demonstration, I would go back to the lows and work with them a little bit longer, maybe another 30 seconds to see if I can get them up. But because this is a demo, I'm going to back out now. And I can then go down to the main hold tray and clear all these. And then my step 2 is working with the general overview. And the thing that I love about working with the general overview is that it takes all the items from the system overview and all the items from the custom libraries, and it puts them all into one list, and then you can see it all in numerical order. So it's a really great way of working with all. I like to work with all of the blues and reds, but your blues are going to be the ones that have been out of balance for a chronic period of time. And more than likely, they are your root causes to many of your symptoms. So let's go there now. The way you get there is you press on the system overview. And I'm just going to flip it so that we see our lows first. And again, since this is a demonstration, I'm going to add the blues and the reds into my main hold tray. Normally, I would not, because I have a lot. So it's probably going to be upwards of like 300 to 350 items in the main hold tray. It really depends on how many items that you're working with, which would depend on how big your custom library base is on how you work with them. So it's going to vary slightly by user, but hopefully that you'll get the main idea here. So I'm not going to add all the blues right now because there would be thousands of them. So what I will do is click on this little crosshair button to the right, to the left of the main hold tray, and that allows me to add the bottom 50. So I'm going to select that, and if we count it down, obviously it would be whatever 50 are there. You can see when you hit the main hold tray, if you wanted to look through it a little more easily, and you could see what some of those items are. Now you can see the flower essence of Century is out of balance, and I just want to get that because I'm just curious, since that has been out of balance for a very long time. This might give you some insights. Let me just find where it is. So the meaning of this essence is finding balance in serving others and nurturing yourself. And you would often work with the stomach meridian and the spleen meridian. Does that resonate with you at all, that definition? You want me to repeat it?
Yeah, it does resonate.
It does. So that's been out of balance for a longer period of time. So hopefully we can balance this and start to get that back in balance, and you can nurture, help working on towards nurturing yourself. There's also other ones in here, energetic burnout, or am I in fight or flight? So that maybe your cortisol, you're stressed, have some stress, there's some nefarious energies that are in here, which we all have. So it's not a big deal to have them. We just want to make sure that we're clearing them. So anyway, those 50 have been added. I then will remove, and I also want to add the top 50 reds. Okay, so you can see down on the bottom, it now says 100. Now I'm going to remove the libraries, and I'm going to add all of the blues. Now, since I removed the libraries, now I'm just working with the items from the system overview page. So I'm going to add all the blue items and all the red items. So we're at about 369. So I was close when I said the 350 range in there. So you can see in here that there are a number of meridians that are out of balance, that have been chronically out of balance. So it's important to work with that. Our meridian system and our chakra system is our communication system within our body. So that's all really important. So now we can go to the progressive insights by hitting the play button here, the main hold tray, and I'll hit begin and out. Okay, and again, I'm going to put the timer for 1 minute and select all. you had an average percent rectification of 59% on all those items. Hold on a second. My computer was gonna die. And if we look now though, from energy flow, which is at 48%, the highest 71%. So it's a little bit over 20 range. What is it? It's at like 23 over, I think, if my math is correct there. So for demonstration purposes, I am going to not mess with that because it's pretty close and it's a high rectification. So assuming that these three are within that 20% and the average percent rectification is over 40%, I like to then hit rescan, which you can see at the top right. Okay, and now I'll move the timer down to 0 minutes so we can work with manual amount of seconds. And I'm going to select the highs and the lows, not the mediums, and play this for 30 seconds.
Your mediums are still selected.
Pam, can you mute, please? Thank you. So you had an excellent average percent rectification is 55%, and it goes between 45 and 64, so that's okay. And no, Pam, the median, I didn't have the mediums aren't selected here. It was just the highs and the lows. So that's excellent. So I'm really happy with that. We can go back now to the system overview, and I am going to clear all of this. Now, my step 3 is always working with the specific symptoms. So we're going to get to that in just a second, but I always like to check in with my clients after the first and second protocol is complete, because a lot of times clients will see an improvement after those. And it's really nice to point out, just because it's really validating to see how important these first 2 steps are. So Larry, I'm just curious, have you seen any shifts? It's okay if you don't, but
Yes, I have felt quite a bit better since the process.
excellent. What do you see better?
I feel a lot lighter.
Okay.
Not so much stress.
So your anxiety was about at a 5 before. Where would you put it now?
Oh, probably a 2.
Okay, great. And then let's say your gas and bloating.
That's hard to tell because that varies all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
but better. And then what was the other item that we it was 3 things you it was anxiety. You didn't have any pain anywhere. Well, I'm forgetting. The what? I'm sorry.
No pain.
No pain. No, I know that, but I think that there were 3 things that you rated. It was anxiety, gas and bloating, and something else, but it's okay. The important thing is that you're already feeling better, so that's awesome. So now, oh, I think we said that just digestion in general maybe was off. So I am going to work with digestion. So I'm going to drag in all of digestion. So we have all 11 parts of it in there, and we're going to bring that in. I also just want to look at today's stress just to see what's going on in here. So we do see, I can't move this. Hold on a second. Adrenals. So that would contribute to some stress today. The red, again, it's red. So that means it's just out of balance today. And I don't mean just today, because obviously if we don't work with it and we don't clear it, it could become longer or it could become chronic, and we don't want that to happen. But acid is off, bacteria, blood sugar. Now, again, things like blood sugar could be off. Maybe you haven't eaten, I don't know what time looks like your West Coast time zone. So um maybe it's getting close to lunchtime for you and you haven't eaten and your blood sugar is off, or it could be that you just had a sweet and maybe your blood sugar is off. But those could be things that contribute to that. Getting down to more chronic things, we see kidneys, sensitivities, cardiovascular, emotional, heavy metal, fungus, hormonal. Now, hormonal, fungus, heavy metal, emotional, all those things can all go back to the gut, right? And that would go back to um, digestion, even degeneration, right? It showed that there was acid. If you're not, if you don't have, if you're too acidic, that could lead to degeneration. So um, I'm just going to add the blues in here, and then we can, and since emotions showed up. Now, we did work with all of these already. Don't forget that, because when we worked with the general overview and we worked with all the blues and the reds in the system overview, we worked with a lot of this, but sometimes I still like to pull them out and work with it. Let's just work on this Centauri and see if we can, and I'm going to bring agrimony. And the reason why I just selected agrimony, and that helps in releasing a lot of times emotions that could be around trauma, or just harder to release emotions. And I'm going to drag in some of the emotions in here. Let's pull down anxiety. I'm going to add in the blues. And I want to work with gratitude. It's easier. We'll add in love and happiness. They may have already been in there already, but I like to add in positive emotions as well, because it's always good to boost the positive emotions, not just, or balance them, I should say. So, okay. And now we can go to, the custom libraries, and we can look at bioterrain to see what's in here. And let's see, just see what's coming out the most chronic in here. Let's look at the candida, which would also be, so let's add the blues. And we'll add the solutions for those as well. And the solutions, I'm going to add all of them. And bacteria was showing up. So again, I'm just going to add the blues here. And I want to go to acid and alkaline. These are some affirmations, because we did see that it was acidic. So hopefully we can try to create more alkalinity in there. And we can look at, let's just work with some of the remedies for some of the parasites. So we can add in the blue and the red in there. And then finally, I just want to find a library for anxiety, emotional. Okay. I'm going to do something else here. Sorry. I'm just looking at the ones that are showing up of having blue that have been out of balance more chronically. Okay, and so now I'm just going to hit begin analysis here. Again, I'm going to select 1 minute and all. Okay, so that's at 32%, which is good. It's not excellent, but it's good. And I'm going to move the timer down to 0, and I'm going to deselect all of them, and I'm just going to hit all the lows first and play those for a few seconds. Okay, so that's still at 31%. If you look at the top, it's still in a close range, so it could be better, but it's still good. Let's try the highs and do the same thing. Okay, so the highs are up at 58%, which is great, and it goes from 51 to 72, so that's really close in that 20 range, so I'm happy there. We didn't get the lows all the way up to where I would have liked to, but we are running out of time, and in fact, we did go over, so I still want to go back to now and see how your aura is looking. Have you noticed any additional changes in how you're feeling with that, or is it basically the same as before?
Yeah, no, it's I feel a lot lighter, just almost like I've been rejuvenated.
Excellent. And how is your energy level? And that was, you felt exhausted. That was the other thing.
Yeah, I feel really good now, and I think a lot of it is Claire suggested that I drink water instead of coffee, so I switched to that a few weeks ago now, and it's
Oh,
making a
great. Good, good, good. So let's just look at your aura again so we can hit begin analysis. Okay, so we can hide the avatar. So we aren't seeing that black in the center, which is nice. It is, you do, the pale color could be some fatigue from working with a lot of frequencies today. Hopefully that will come back up. It is still blurry though in here, so there is some interference, which you know, it's very difficult to get rid of all of it. We can switch to the classic version. You are slightly ungrounded coming in, but overall it looks brighter than it looked before. It looks like a lot of this gray is moving out, but I would still want to work on the grounding. And in fact, I am going to clear the main hold tray and just send you off with, I'm going to go into add grounding. Let's just add some of these positive ones in here. And go into the libraries and work with some of the Alaskan, the crystals for grounding. I'm just going to add the blue ones in. And I'm going to add some of these flower essences. And again, I'm just going to add, well, here I'm going to add the blue and the red. And the last thing I'm going to add is in the biotrain. I'm going to add into where it says finish here. These items, the normal intestinal for under bacteria would be your probiotics. So I'm just I'm going to select 1 minute and all. Jennifer, recording. Can you hear me, Claire?
Just about.
There may be a third party that allows you to work with these apps on a Windows computer. I'm not sure. I think that there is. I can try to find out for maybe next Thursday, but I've never worked with it, so no, and I couldn't be sure that it or not for you. Jennifer, you may want to Google third party. No, it wouldn't be Reflector. I don't think it's Reflector. It's something else that you would have to be able to use iOS apps or Android apps on the Windows operating service. It has to do with the operating service. Okay, so the average percent rectification is 31. It's within the 20 range. So let's just go back and see what your aura looks like, if there's any change here. Okay, so we're seeing some, I actually think that there's some orange there in the center of my eyes. So we see a bright yellow, that's good. This blue color is good. It's still fuzzy. Still slightly not all the way grounded, but and up here, I would probably run, Larry, you may want to run the spiritual protection panel for, I don't know, 5 minutes for yourself, I would just put all the items from spiritual protection in and run that for you. But that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for volunteering. I really appreciate it, having the volunteer there. And you can let me know. You could always email me at Denise at Inside Health Apps. Let me know how you're doing, Larry. I'm glad that you're doing better today. And thank you everyone again for being here. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah,
So
I feel really good. Not bad for 8 years old.
you look great. And I
Thank
love
you.
your front yard.
Yeah, well, I don't own it all, but I have an acre.
Well, your view, I love the view from your front yard. Anyway, thank you so much and continue feeling good. So have a great week, everyone. And thank you, Claire, for your help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.